Hey guys, John here. Well, as you can see, the Land Cruiser is back in the garage for now. So it was up at 6 Element Engineering in South Carolina. They were using it for some R&D work. Let me show you what they did. So for those of you wanting turbo noises out of your Land Cruiser, a little bit more horsepower, torque, and also better throttle response, they developed an intake for the Land Cruiser. They also did some recovery hooks right down here. You can see that they're nice and black. Nice billet aluminum right there, 6th off-road. They are the same ones, I believe, as the 4Runner and Tacoma, so they're gonna have their own branded Land Cruiser ones. And also they had the whole front end off of my Land Cruiser because they were doing a intercooler, so that's gonna help keep everything nice and cool, help the longevity of the engine, and also if you're towing with your Land Cruiser or if it's hot outside while you're off-roading with it, a lot more fluids going through, keeping this whole vehicle nice and cool. So I'm gonna show you guys the intake. Keep in mind this is still a prototype, and what I mean by that is it is fully 3D printed. So they do a whole injection mold for their actual production models, but this one is a 3D printed one. But I wanted to show you the difference of it and the stock intake before we go for a drive and hear the turbo noises. And you may also be wondering why the heck there's 2 intake tubes right here. Well, the reason for that is because this one, for some reason, wasn't working the best. So I was getting some reduced power notifications on my screen, and the other Land Cruiser that they were also R&Ding with was getting some of those same warnings. Now, 6 Element wants everything to be absolutely perfect before they make production models of this intake. So Mark sent me out another intake tube, and I can't tell the difference. Maybe this is a little bit longer right here, but the reasoning for this is where your MAF sensor plugs into, but they do so much bench testing and so many things, and then also real world testing as well. And the fact that he was able to make another one of these for me to continue to R&D test for them on real world driving and stuff is awesome. But let's go ahead and show you the difference between the intakes now. So the stock one over here, the only airflow that we're gonna be getting from this is right here. And where that goes into is right here in your fender well. So you're gonna get some nice cool air coming into the fender well, going into the intake. The 6 Element one on the Tacoma and also the 4Runner, they have like this little scoop that goes into it, sucking air from the grill area and also the fender well. Now 6 Element claims that it's around 12 to 14 horsepower and torque gains from their intake, and that's what they're estimating on this when they do go into the dyno. So again, this is a 3D molded one. It is not the injection mold that a production model will be, but you can see that we're gonna be sucking in air right here from the fender well, and also look at this massive hole right here. So we're also gonna be sucking in air from right here behind the light and the grill. So this air is gonna come into the grill behind the light, kind of get trapped right here and go into this intake, and then it's also gonna be taking in the same amount of air from the side. You can see also that we have a nice cone filter with the 6 Element logo right there, and there's also some like kind of padding right down here too. On top as well, we have a nice kind of plexiglass with 6 Element cut out right there, or etched into it, I should say. And then they have these magnetic little magnets on top, and then a little spot right here to put your finger, and you can open this up. Let's say you get some debris in it, or you just want to check or clean your filter easily and also take it off. That's how you do that there. So it's just a nice little touch that they do for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all installed with the new intake tube right here. I already put the MAF sensor on, and then we're just gonna go for a drive and make sure that it fixes it. And with the intake in place, you can see a better representation now of where we're gonna be sucking in air from. So we're gonna be pulling it in right here in the fender, and then that giant new hole is right here, sucking in, again, all that air that's coming in through the grill, kind of getting blocked by this fender right here, and then going straight into the intake. All right, the rain has let up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into the Land Cruiser. And before we go for a drive, I want to talk to you guys about Last Fit, a sponsor on this channel. They do not have floor mats yet. Let them know in the comments for the Land Cruiser, but they do for the Tacoma, 4Runner, 3rd Gen Tundra, and some previous generation also Toyota products. Last Fit floor mats are absolutely awesome, guys. They have insane coverage over the OEM ones, especially in my Tacoma where you don't even have really a back seat. They still make them for the TRD Pros and the hybrids as well that give you a whole bunch of coverage back there. I have a link and discount code in the description for Last Fit liners. All right, so the best way that I can do this is just have my phone honestly recording outside, because I'm not gonna put the microphone into the intake bay and say, oh, this thing has amazing turbo sounds. In all honesty, the Land Cruiser makes a little less turbo noise than the 4Runner and also the Tacoma. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if this just has a little bit more sound deadening than those, but the Land Cruiser, you can definitely hear more turbo noise. But the Land Cruiser, you hear a lot more turbo noise than stock. However, it's not as much as the 4Runner and also the Tacoma. Now, one thing that I have noticed about this intake is that kind of when I'm just giving it a little bit of gas, it kind of has like this brunt, like low bellowy tone now. So like sometimes in the NA motors of like the Tacoma and the 4Runner, when I used to put intakes in those when I had them, you would get kind of like a lower rumbling noise, and that's what I hear in this. So it actually makes the 4-cylinder sound a little bit better. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of gas now. So here just a little bit. So like for me doing that in the Tacoma or the 4Runner, I would hear a little bit more like pop at the end, like a little bit more of that blow off sensation basically of the wastegates letting go. And that's getting up there in the RPM. So the sweet spot kind of is around the 1700 RPM point where the peak torque is coming in of the Land Cruiser. So right now I'm at about 1200 RPM. You hear that kind of low rumble. Do a little U-turn right here. Get a little bit more turbski sound. So for me driving this, I definitely feel an improved throttle response. And I asked my wife, because we tuned the 4Runner, the Tacoma drives like a completely different animal than the Land Cruiser does. The Land Cruiser has always felt just a little bit more lackluster compared to the other hybrid versions of Toyota's new platform. But I asked her, I was like, hey, how does this throttle response feel to you? And she says it actually feels like it woke up the vehicle a little bit, which is nice. And nothing against my beautiful wife, but she doesn't know everything about cars. But for me to ask her, kind of like prompt that question, and her say, actually, no, it does have quite a bit more throttle response, that actually means a lot. So she's able to notice it. I'm able to notice it. Again, the turbo noise, not like crazy. We'll go ahead and just give it some gas here. And then you could just hear it blow off just a little bit too. So it's definitely user preference. You know, you're gonna maybe hear a little bit more than I do, or maybe a little bit less, depends on how your ears are. My ears aren't the best because of the military and stuff, but I mean, I think that it sounds a lot better. Again, you kind of have this lower grunt. Again, you have kind of like this lower grunt of a noise coming from that intake box. And you do hear the turbos a little bit, not like a whole lot, but definitely a lot more noticeable over stock for this Land Cruiser. So giving this Land Cruiser just that quick throttle, that's what prompted that low power warning for my wife and also other people. Now, I reached out real fast to SXTH Element to make sure, hey, I'm saying this stuff in my video just so you guys know. And they're like, no, that's totally fine. We're fully transparent about our products, which is awesome, which is true, because then on the Facebook page, people that have the prototypes like I do for my Land Cruiser, and also maybe some that have already gotten their hands on some SXTH Element ones, Mark is in that comment section already talking to them, and SXTH Element apparently has already sent out new intake tubes to people as well. So they rectified the problem. They said, hey, we know this is a problem. Even if you didn't get that reduced power warning that several other people got, we're still gonna send you a new intake tube regardless. Because like I said, I drove all the way down from South Carolina to Destin, Florida, and I did not have a single issue. And then my wife drove it somehow, and then she had an issue. So and I passed people and stuff on the road. I was wanting to hear the turbo noises and stuff too with this. So it's just awesome to work with a company that does a lot of stuff in America. They're moving a lot of their intake manufacturing to America as well, and they stand behind their product, which is absolutely awesome. that was a good one right there. So yeah, low RPM range sounds really freaking good. And these golfers up here looks like they got a little break in this rain and they're trying to finish up. You may get worse gas mileage with your Land Cruiser trying to hear the turbo noise, but guys, I appreciate you all watching so much. Again, 6 Elements information will be down in the description for you guys. They're gonna have way more products coming for this Land Cruiser as well, which I'm super excited for them to do. It was an honor to give them my Land Cruiser for a little bit to make some R&D parts for it. But again, their information, the link to their website will be in the description for you guys, and also Last Fit liners will be down there too. I appreciate you all watching, and I will catch you in the next one.